Welcome to the internationally known, world-renowned Two Buck Sports Pod. I'm your co-host, Uncle Buckets, aka Championship Game Contender, aka the one and only. Here with my buddy Uncle Buck coming in live from Ripley, Mississippi. Uncle Buck, have you froze solid down there yet? I know we've all had cold weather, but looks like y'all got a little bit more of it than we did.
Man, you wouldn't believe it, but it was roughly 6 degrees all weekend, and today we hit the 50s.
Hey.
If you don't like the weather in Mississippi, wait until tomorrow. We had a rough weekend. We did. So it
That's how.
luckily it did the the weather was cold, but the hazards dodged us for the most part. Um, I'm sure you heard of rolling blackouts and everything like that, but
Mhm.
um, I'm just glad anything's better than ice. And
Yeah,
so we dodged the ice. We even got a little snow yesterday and let the kids, or on Monday, let the kids get out and throw balls. So all is well that ends well.
yeah. The weather here in South Carolina went from 70 to 40 like it saw a state trooper, and then by this weekend we're gonna be back up cruising to 70 like we passed that son of a gun. So
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you just got to check up every once in a while.
that's it, man. You got to pump those brakes. There
Yeah.
was one time you and I were on the phone. I don't know if you remember this or not, but I said, "Man, that car's coming up quick," and I said, "Uh oh, I gotta let you go. I'm getting pulled over."
I do. I do remember that. Shout
Yes,
out Kirk, my
yeah.
cousin Kirk, fantasy football league member Kirk Gibson, who made his career out of ruining people's days.
Yeah, and he's also going to be a contributor to the podcast tonight. But we'll get to that later at the end of the show. A
Oh yeah.
little foreshadowing. Dun dun dun.
Okay.
But real quick, while we got you guys, if you haven't checked it out yet, Drew and I have started a blog to go along with this podcast. I know we talked about it some last week. With a one a week podcast is hard to get to breaking news, game recap, talk about the things that we want to talk about as two loudmouths might want to do. So the blog gives us an opportunity to pour out some thoughts. Recently it's been more of a gripe session against the Memphis Grizzlies, but hopefully better basketball is on the horizon. But it's the number two, bucksportspod.com is where you can find that. Give us a like, a share, a follow on there, as well as all your favorite podcast locations, Spotify, Google, and then definitely our YouTube channel. Check it out if you want to watch us and our shenanigans here in our home studios. Definitely give us a like, share, and a follow.
Yeah, we appreciate all guests to come on around. So,
Yeah.
well, have you got your Christmas tree down yet?
No, I'm not that much of a Scrooge. I read recently that if you want good luck, and I need all that I can get this coming year,
I
you're
think it's
supposed
helping.
yeah, well, not so far. You leave it up for 12 days after Christmas because you got the 12 days of Christmas. Supposed to leave it up for at least 12 days after. So I'll give it a little while.
Well, we do still have our Christmas trees up, but the lights on the house are off. So, making progress. I only
Yeah,
have so much daylight uh, when I get off work, so I started with the
sure.
outside.
There you go. And the decor, I'm a real tree guy. I might be a bit of a Scrooge and not put it up till later, but at least put up the real thing. And so it makes my house smell nice. It smells lovely in here. Nice crisp pine smell. So I like to leave it up for a few days to keep the place smelling nice.
Chris Pine?
Crisp pine. I knew you were going to
Oh,
say that.
yeah. I mean, he smells good too.
I'm sure he looks like he would with that long hair, but
Yeah.
anyway.
So, all right. Well, we were going to start this thing out with a new season. So, we've passed the Christmas season, and so now we've hit the New Year's. And like everybody does, we set ourselves some goals that we will not
Mhm.
keep. So, Rusty, I want you to tell me the first resolution that you're not going to keep this year.
Well, Drew, we'll get to this again here a little bit later, but it's to not overreact about the Memphis Grizzlies and their bad basketball as of late. And I can tell you, I've already broken that a couple times today, listening to shout out to the Locked On Grizzlies podcast. Just hearing some of the stuff the players are saying, things are going around. I'm panicking, not quite panicking, but I'm concerned. I have some very, very real concerns. So it's not even the new year yet, and I'm already too worried about the Memphis Grizzlies and their basketball performance.
Yeah, I'm not that worried. Uh, they are definitely in a shooting slump. Uh, and that happens. Like I've told you, it's an 82 game season, and
Yeah.
so I am not quite I'm not pressing the button yet. My first New Year's resolution. It's one that I know I can keep.
Mm.
And so, when you're setting goals, you're supposed to make them attainable.
Mm-hmm.
And so I resolve to not eat Christmas tree cakes until December of 23. I
Did you get your fill this year?
My wife's stepmother bought me my own box.
Mm.
I let her have one.
Mm.
And by let her, I mean she took one without me realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I had no other choice but eat the rest of them in one sitting so nobody else could get them. I had 3 consecutive Christmas tree cakes.
Nice.
And took a nap.
Nice. Yeah, as one would. I got upset at work the other day, Drew. I try and keep my cool. I'm a professional after all. As you like to say, I'm a doctor with the air quotes.
Yeah. The same as like a dentist,
That's fair.
Nobody's calling you after hours. You're not really a doctor.
No, yeah, you'd be surprised how many people do call about their ankles hurting. But anyway, I digress. I had somebody in the clinic the other day acting a fool. And they said, when I mentioned Christmas tree cakes and how wonderful they are, and he ruined my day, so I'm about to ruin yours. He said, aren't Christmas tree cakes just zebra cakes shaped like a tree?
Yes, they are.
And I was like, yeah, but they're better. And he goes, no, it's the same. And I said, get out.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Zebra cakes are good.
They are.
But they do not have the crusty sprinkles on top that make them elite. So it's like a Diet Coke. Like, I mean, yeah, you can tell there's some Coke in there, but something's missing.
Yeah. Flavor.
yeah. Like the good stuff, the good parts are missing.
Sprinkles. Right. Exactly. No, I got you. My second resolution this year, Drew, got to walk the line with this because I know it's a problem for some people, and I get that. I respect that. I respect people that struggle with it. But for me, I'm going to try and drink more whiskey this year. I want to find new brands. I want to find new distilleries. I want to find new flavors, smoked barrels, those different things. I'm going to drink more whiskey in 2023, and that's one I can keep.
Well, I hope your other resolution is not save money. But talking about some money.
You ain't wrong.
You start looking at them single barrels and small batches. Whew, boy.
That's why tonight we're just drinking a little Old Forester, something smooth and easy for the podcast that doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah, and I finished off a bottle of Woodford Reserve that cousin David gave me, I don't know, probably a couple years ago. So my final resolution, I only came with 2. So if you've got any more, you can just stack them on at the end. I promise to have fewer technical difficulties to start this podcast. I know everybody, if we had a live stream, a pre-podcast live stream, you would see the comedy of errors that was tonight going into this podcast. I knocked over a Coke bottle, a commemorative Coke bottle, trying to rearrange my desk and clean it off.
Which actually made his desk look better, but I digress.
Yeah, it was, don't worry, Rusty, I have another one. It's my national championship Coca-Cola bottle. And then I found out that my computer cable has a short in it, so I can't charge it. So we're recording this on the iPad again tonight. So 2023, let's have fewer malfunctions.
Here, I'll drink to that. Drew, you're not the only one, man. I've been wrestling. I've been looking forward to this podcast tonight because it's an opportunity for a little feeling better. I thought I'd get that last night in the Memphis Grizzlies and the Suns game, but I was sorely disappointed after what was a tough day yesterday. I fancy myself to be somewhat handy, able to fix most things and work on most things.
I'm a little handsy.
It works out. But I wrestled with a washing machine hose yesterday for 3 hours and could not get that son of a gun undone. I tried every known remedy to man that I could think of, from heat the penetrating oil, WD-40, hitting it with a little hammer, pop wrench, you name it. I've tried it. So to all of our listeners out there, both foreign and domestic, if you have any other suggestions, please drop them in the comments. Let me know. I need some help getting this washing machine. It's my cold water hose. It's stuck to the faucet in the wall. I've tried everything I can come up with to get rid of it. So if you got tips, pointers, or anything, put them in the comments for me.
Well, you didn't ask me. I've got a tip. If a little hammer doesn't work, get a big one.
That's right.
It'll come loose. I promise.
Oh, it among other things.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, you've got to fix the problem, even if you create more. So,
I think I've got a main water switch somewhere. I'll probably hit it first just to be on the safe side.
So, all right. Well, what are you watching right now? You got anything on?
I'm kind of keeping up with some of the college bowl games that are going on. We're actually, Drew, as the bowl season progresses, that's when we start getting some of the better bowls,
Right. I was going to say this week starts the good week, and the good bowls.
So we started with a good one today, Duke in Central Florida. I kept up with it a little bit. Duke ended up pulling away late. They won 30-13. Right now, Arkansas is absolutely
I've got it on
Kansas. Yeah, I'm watching. I've got it turned on, man. It's a bloodbath. Arkansas can do no wrong. Whipping up on Kansas. One other game of note tonight, Oregon and North Carolina kick off at 8:00 from Petco Park out in San Diego.
Did you? They're playing at Petco?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is cool.
Baseball stadiums are playing in this year.
I think 3. So we got Petco, we've got Fenway, we've got Yankee Stadium. Yep.
Yeah.
And then other than that, no other game of consequence tonight, really, that we would spend time talking about, right?
Yeah. Did you see what Pat Narduzzi said about Drake May, the quarterback at North Carolina?
Oh, you're talking about like with the NIL stuff?
Right. Said that he wasn't going to name who, but he had heard in the coaching business that he had at least 2 offers of $5 million of NIL money. And he turned them down. So,
yeah.
But
for an average ACC quarterback.
Oh, he's young. He's going to be fine.
That's fair.
I mean, he is not average. He's really good right now, and he's young. But there is one more football game tonight. My Rebels play at 8:00 against the mighty Red Raiders of Texas Tech. It snuck up on me. National Signing Day was last week, and man, they just turned around and played another game. They're not going to let those guys play, are they? So.
No, unfortunately not. And plus, y'all haven't really done your recruiting yet. Lane Kiffin is much more of a transfer portal guy than he is a high school recruit guy. So y'all's recruiting is just really getting started, right?
Well, they signed 12 players out of high school.
Wow.
And that was good enough for the 51st ranked class in the nation. You have any comments?
Mississippi State signed 6 of the top 15 in the state of Mississippi. So all this come to this SIP mess.
But not the top 2.
Not the top 2, no.
Okay. That's going to be my point about
3 of the top 10.
Yeah. There's 7 left in that. Okay. So we got the top 2. You got 3 of the remaining 7. Okay.
Quantity over quality.
Yeah, that is exactly going to be my point. So listen, if you did it by a per player ranking, a rating per player, Ole Miss had the 12th best per player ranking per player average in the country. And so what Lane has done, and what I think he is going to be on the cutting edge of, because it's not going to do anything but grow. What you used to do when you were only recruiting high school players was that you were filling your roster with mid-level 3-stars just for depth. And Lane has said, we are not going to just fill our roster with folks that we don't think can play. So what you do is you just go out and you get the guys that you're convinced of. Now, they missed out on a couple, but missed out on their fair share, I'm sure. I don't really follow recruiting until the end. But I thought it was very notable that he said, I'm not just going to fill my roster with folks that I'm not sure can play. We'll go get transfers, and people are still going to be hitting the portal after bowl games.
Mm.
And so, whereas it's another reason why National Signing Day is not nearly as fun as it used to be.
Mm.
I I see no fault in the logic of it. I guess now he's gonna have a chance to prove his theory.
Or that sounds like something somebody would say, oh, well, she broke up, we broke up, but she was crazy, right? Like I didn't recruit these kids. So, I know that Ole Miss kind of sweeped in on a few last second, or one they had a couple, particularly there was one, he was a legacy kid out of Itawamba that his daddy played at Ole Miss. Ole Miss thought that they could just bank on him signing, and they called him on signing day, and he signed with Mississippi State. So I hear what you're saying, but I'm curious about that, Drew, and I want to get your thoughts on it. And I've definitely got some, but the experiment with the transfer portal is just starting, right? I'm curious what the data is going to look like, and we've talked about it a little bit on here. Like, what about the schools like the Alabamas, Georgias, Mississippi State, who primarily recruit high school kids still, versus teams like USC for now, Ole Miss that actively work the transfer portal more? I'm curious what the records, what the win-loss, what the titles and awards are going to look like in the future. Because right now, and I know it's still early, Ole Miss last year worked the transfer portal, got quite a few kids come in, several huge contributors, great players, and then had the same record as Mississippi State, who didn't work the transfer portal as much. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on so far, what you think of the Lane Kiffin transfer portal experience.
Well, I think that you cannot rely solely on the transfer portal, but I also think you cannot rely solely on high school kids anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think you've added a second level to this, and you can't operate independent of the other.
Right.
Kirby Smart was saying at his National Signing Day press conference, he admitted he's going to have to start looking at the transfer portal because these kids, Ole Miss just landed a commitment from a 5-star top 25 player from last year's class that went to A&M.
Mm-hmm.
You telling me that I should pack my roster with 3-star guys from Itawamba when maybe the next day I can get the 5-star that's disgruntled, who's got his bag from Texas A&M? Like, I don't care. Like, that's the thing. And you're right. What matters is what's on the field, and it's going to play out. But I just believe that there is a path here outside of high school kids.
Sure.
Solely out of high school kids. Now, Ole Miss has a glaring hole now because they did lose one of their biggest losses on signing day was a 4-star kid out of Nashville to play quarterback who flipped. He decommitted earlier last week and ended up going to Texas A&M, and for reasons we all know,
Right.
And so Luke Altmaier's transferred. You've got another guy that may transfer, and then 2 guys who are walk-ons, and Jackson Dart, and that's your quarterback room right now. So you're going to have to get into the portal in an emergency situation.
Sure.
And Lane has said, whereas a lot of teams are looking for stars out of the transfer portal, there's enough people in the transfer portal that you can go get backups late.
Sure. Sure. I mean, we had 1,000 kids in there on the first day.
Yeah, and so there's more kids than jobs.
Yeah.
So there's a large majority of them that just go back to school where they came from.
Or they don't get picked up by anybody and their football days are over. And that's the other thing you got to remember.
Down a league.
Right. And you got to remember too, with some of these kids, and by and large, most of these kids work out. But there's a reason a lot of these kids go in the transfer portal. There are some circumstances where it's not a right fit, where it's not enough playing time, where the coach leaves and that sort of stuff. But you also have to deal with some of the baggage that may come with some of these kids. And you can get that with these kids coming out of high school, but oftentimes there's a reason some of these kids are in the transfer portal.
Right. I agree. And I agree that used to be the case a lot more now, where if you were transferring, that means you were probably not getting along with the coach.
Sure.
But now it's a way of life. And it's not, and it could be about nothing more than playing time. So when a 5-star from A&M, who I know has been recruiting lights out, tells me that it's just about playing time, well, I tell you what, I got the playing time. So
we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, I mean, unless you suck, you're gonna play.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out.
And I don't know if you saw this. Ole Miss announced an NIL partner today.
Mm-mm.
It's I don't. We're not a recruiting show. We're not solely an Ole Miss show, but I thought it
Thank
was
you.
really interesting. They the Grove Collective is what they call their NIL base
Mm-hmm.
through the university, announced a partnership with Wheels Up, the charter flight company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so basically, what they've promised is 15 kids come in and be spokesmen or whatever, and then their part of their return and the return for the university and for the football team as a whole is that we'll fly your family in. You get tickets, and I believe it's with Delta that will comp tickets for your family to come to games.
That's cool.
And so
That's
I
cool.
thought it was pretty neat. And
That
it's
is cool. That is cool.
and it's an angle outside of. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure there's for the 15 players that there's
Mm-hmm.
a now there's probably cash involved,
Oh, I'm
but
sure.
for the program, you're talking
Yeah.
about you're going to fly for a lot of these people. Colleges needs to be proximity so mom and dad can come see.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
That's going to help with that because that's another thing with the transfer portal. Like these kids, like they go far away from home. There's a higher likelihood that they're going to transfer back closer to home, particularly if they're not getting playing time. Mama gets sick, things happen. And so that's why you got to, in my opinion, you got to win your state and get the best players out of your state, which y'all got the top two. I'll give you that. We got 7 of the top 15. You got to win your state.
there's
Get
not 15 good players in the state of Mississippi. Yeah, and I mean it works the other way too. Jackson Dart was not happy at USC, and he's from California.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, come to
Some people
Mississippi.
want to
We'll
get
fly
out.
your folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people want to get out of Dodge, but at the end of the day, I'm curious how it's going to work out. You know, we kind of got hit by the transfer portal. Rod Thomas is gone. All reports are he's going to enroll in Georgia in the next couple of weeks.
I think he's already committed and signed.
He's committed, but he hadn't enrolled yet. The enrollment period is not for another couple of weeks, and once he gets enrolled, he'll be a great player at Georgia. He's a great receiver. Xavier Thomas looks like he's going to come back. There's some reports.
Georgia also got that receiver from Missouri.
Yeah, Georgia's going to be loaded at the receiver position next year. And so that's why Xavier, I think one reason he's coming back. And there's also rumors that now that everything's kind of settled down, that Dylan Johnson is likely, not for sure, but likely coming back to Starkville.
Well, by your own logic, that must mean that nobody wants him.
Not necessarily.
Hey, that is by your own logic. So
he is currently entertaining offers, but leaning towards reuniting with Will and Woody Marks back in Starkville. So we'll see how it works out. But yeah, all these things just make college football that much more interesting. And speaking of,
it makes it more like the NFL though, where
sure.
It's transactions,
but the NFL has a salary cap, and there's going to have to be some kind of regulation, or it's going to be the Wild West.
But what made college football so great for so long, as opposed to the NFL, was the familiarity to the players.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like my dad, and when we got tickets to Ole Miss baseball this year or last year, and the reason why the championship made it so important to me and Dad is it was like my dad started following Ole Miss baseball when Tim Elko was a freshman. Mm-hmm. He was the highest rated recruit, and those Justin Bench, Tim Elko, and Kevin Graham all came in, and they played for 4 years. You felt like you knew them, and then we got to see them win it all. Football used to be that way, where you get that interpersonal connection, and you feel like those are your guys.
Yeah.
And you just don't really have that same attachment to the players. I still cheer for the Laundry, but just you don't have that same interaction with the players anymore.
Sure. Yep. But speaking of interesting college football, like I said earlier, it's the bowl season when the games start picking up. So tomorrow we have the Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium, Syracuse, Minnesota. The Cheez-It Bowl. Recently, I learned this just yesterday that Cheez-It is the name of the cracker. Okay. In order to make it plural, it's Cheez-It crackers. Cheez-Its is wrong. Didn't know that.
I'm not adding an extra word to make it plural.
That's how it's technically supposed to be, but we're from Mississippi. We shorten our state anyway. I'm still going to call them Cheez-Its.
Yeah.
When you eat a handful, it's Cheez-Its. If you eat one, it's a Cheez-It.
Cheez-Its.
That's it, Cheez-Its. But that's Oklahoma, Florida State, which I think is a decent matchup there. Again, it's a rivalry renewed with Brett Venables facing Florida State. That's at 5:30 from Orlando, Florida. And then tomorrow night at 9 from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, it's Texas and Washington. So
That's actually a pretty good game. I
Mhm.
was higher on Texas all year. I still think they're better than what they are. And I know Texas is always known for, being overhyped, like
Mhm.
Tennessee is, but like they were genuinely good all year. And
Mhm.
they, I don't know. They just never quite panned out.
I'm curious what's going to happen. And we've talked about it on this podcast, but Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning are two of the highest rated high school recruits of all time in the history of 24/7 sports. And so I'm curious what's going to happen next year when they decide they land on a starter. If they stick around, Arch leaves, if Quinn goes and gets a bag at yet another university, I'm curious what that's going to do for that quarterback battle.
Well, I'm guessing that Arch Manning is hoping that Texas has an incredible year and Quinn Ewers has an incredible year, and then he goes to the draft.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
that family they're a good family. They're good people. They're not going to be the kind to rush the process. I don't think. That's why, I've made the joke that, and I believe if he ever got in the portal, Ole Miss would have a shot. But I just don't put that on them. I don't think they're going to be the kind to hit the eject button quickly.
Did you watch the night Eli got drafted?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And they hit the ejectocito cuz when he got was heading to San Diego and pitched a
Yeah,
fifth.
what allegiances did he have to the Chargers? They were the worst run franchise in the world.
What allegiance does Arch have to Texas?
True, but it would need a coaching change, is what I'd say, because they did commit to Sark.
Huh. I'm curious. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's one example. You're right. Overall, great family.
It was
Great guy.
The difference is Arch had his pick of the litter, and they chose Texas. Eli had to keep San Diego from choosing him.
And they did that by being producing a little drama on draft night. But anyway,
Hey, it worked. He got 2 Super Bowl MVPs out of it.
Worked out. So Friday, December 30th, got some good bowls. The Duke's Mayo Bowl used to be an SEC
I would
bowl.
not watch that one.
Yeah, it used to be an SEC bowl. It used to be the Belt Bowl, but it's not anymore. They let Mayonnaise sponsor it, and so Drew's out. But it's Maryland, North Carolina State. We have the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. It used to just be the Sun Bowl. Now Tony the Tiger
sponsored by the Sun.
Yeah, right. It has a planet or a star. Excuse me, it has a star that sponsors it. But we have the Panthers of Pittsburgh playing in the Tony the Tiger Bowl against UCLA. And then one game I'm super excited about is that Notre Dame South Carolina game. It's tomorrow. It's Friday at 3:30 from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. These are two fan bases that are passionate. South Carolina is going to drink all the PBR and Natty Ice you can find in Jacksonville, and Notre Dame. I think it's going to be a great football game.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, shout out Shane Beamer, who was at Mississippi State when I was there. Great recruiter. Great opportunity for a big win for that. That's cool.
Do you have any thoughts on the Ole Miss Tech game? Because I don't. Because my thoughts on bowls are well documented at this point. I think just whoever wants it more, like who cares?
Yeah. I think
it's gonna be.
I think Tech. I think Tech
Tech's
probably. No. I think Tech's going to want it more because Ole Miss was undefeated. Had a front-loaded cupcake schedule. Came into conference play, kind of stumbled to the finish. Not playing for as much as Tech is. Honestly, I really don't have a ton of thoughts on it. That'd be my only one.
Yeah, I don't really. There's not any big folks sitting out for Ole Miss. I don't know about Texas Tech. So I don't know.
I saw something today that made me think of you, and it said when the SEC schools are losing bowl games, it doesn't really matter. It's just bowl games. Who cares anyway? But when the SEC are winning bowl games, SEC.
I'll tell you this. I've been to a number of bowl games. I've never chanted SEC at any of them. I don't cheer for the SEC. I don't think that anything about Mississippi State, Arkansas, LSU, Auburn, South Carolina, Kentucky, nothing that they do good helps Ole Miss. So I hope they all lose every game, period.
We share bowl revenue, though, right?
I don't care. There's enough money. Shoot.
Saying.
What has bowl revenue ever bought us?
Yeah.
We're still in the bowl game. You don't win more if you win it.
bigger pieces of the pie to share.
If that mattered, they should have kicked Vanderbilt out that decade. No, I don't. I don't cheer for SEC teams
That's fair.
unless they're playing state.
There it is. In the inaugural Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl, sidebar, if we get big enough to sponsor a bowl game, where's it going to be at? Where's the $2 sports bowl game going to be at?
Larry B. Mitchell Stadium in
Kossuth, Mississippi. Let's go.
We're going to take the two worst teams in FBS and shuttle them to Kossuth, give them a slug burger apiece.
Yep.
Tell them to go hit each other.
Yep.
And send them on their merry way. It's
That's
going to be like New Mexico State versus Connecticut every year. And it's going to
That's it, man. It'll be not even Warrior Stadium in Corinth, man. Larry B. Mitchell right there at the four-way stop in Kossuth, baby.
No, don't give the city the income.
That's what I'm saying. Put it out there.
You got to shop at the Aggie Mart.
That's it. Shop at the Aggie Mart. RIP to the Hitchin Post out there. Let them sponsor the Hitchin Post was the best for pregame meals, meals in general.
My grandpa ate every morning at the Hitchin Post, and it burned. And they put in another trailer / restaurant right there. Have you heard what it's called?
I think. Remind me, because it's been a minute.
The Pig Trough.
That's it. I knew it was something. The Trough. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So nothing will replace Memo Wilhite Hitchin Post. Their sweet tea took 5 minutes to pour because it was straight molasses, but it was good, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the $2 sports pod Hitchin Post Memorial Bowl game at Larry B. Mitchell Stadium.
But
you'll
have fifth quarter at the Bluebell now.
That's it. What was that cat's name that used to sing the Rocky Raccoon song? Had the glasses, the guitar and harmonica. Was he still there when you were there?
No, man. He graduated like a decade before I did.
His name will come to me after the pod, and I'll put it in. I'll make a blog about it. But anyway, Barstool Sports, Arizona Bowl, Ohio and Wyoming. Who cares? It's an age-old rivalry, though. It is Bobcats, a.k.a. Murder Kittens, versus the Cowboys. So there's that.
Okay.
Tomorrow, Friday night, is the Capital One Orange Bowl, the literal Orange Bowl. Tennessee versus Clemson in the Orange Bowl. All the orange.
Yeah.
I guarantee the orange team wins Friday night.
The Clemson's going to win that game because they're going to let their good quarterback play for once.
Because DJ Uiagalelei is transferring to Oregon State. He's going to be a Beaver.
Yeah. And they'll be good.
I learned my lesson. I have picked against Josh Heupel twice, and they smacked their opponents both times. So, Vol Nation, that's probably the kiss of death, but I think Tennessee wins that game. Joe Milton's he's got a monster arm. He's going to throw for 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
All right. Saturday, we'll kind of move quick through the rest of them. Saturday, Iowa versus the Fighting Will Levises. I still don't get why Mel Kiper has him better than Bryce Young in his most recent mock draft. Because of the measure. He's big, and that's the only reason he puts mayo in his coffee. Get out of here. Music City Bowl, Iowa and Michigan. And Iowa's like the worst fans. We played them in the Music City Bowl a few years ago. And they were obnoxious. They were arrogant. And I'm like, dude, you're Iowa. You go 8-4 every year. Like, it's cool that you wave to the kids and all, but like, you live in Iowa. Like, what are you so arrogant for?
I bet Iowa would be fun to live in.
Look, you like cornstalks and cold, right?
Yeah, I like cornstalks.
Then Saturday night, Alabama, Kansas State. I did think Kansas State was going to kind of walk on Alabama, and then Will Anderson and Bryce Young said it's we over me. We're going to play in this bowl game, so my opinion has changed a little bit.
Yeah, give me Bama.
I think Bama wins that one. Monday, January 2nd, 12 o'clock noon sharp, Raymond James Stadium. The United States as a whole will be rooting for Mississippi State. Shout out to Ole Miss too. It's a cool little sticker, the Mike Leach with the cowbell. A lot of schools have been wearing that, but I hate them a little less today after seeing that. But Mississippi State, Illinois in the ReliaQuest Bowl on Monday, January 2nd, first game of the day.
Yeah. You want to sit down on that one and tell me what you think? Or?
Emotional games are tough. They could go one way or the other. What I hope is we come out, we play hard, we fight for Mike Leach, the memory of him. I hope there's Jolly Roger flags everywhere. They fire the cannons from the pirate ship for him, and hope that can really, inspire the troops, if you will. Oftentimes, though, in these emotional games, you get a little bit of that hangover. So I'm a little bit nervous, particularly because, while they haven't been playing SEC teams, Illinois has a top 10 defense, and they're really good, particularly against the pass. Their secondary is really fast. They swarmed to the football. They started off 5-1. They should have beat Michigan. Some shoddy officiating and weak play calling at the end of the game cost them that. I think Mississippi State wins in what's a very emotional game, but I think it's really, really close. I think it should be a really good bowl game.
I think that is one of the better bowl games in terms of care factor, because neither team really they play for bowl games. I mean, outside of Mississippi State plays for the Egg Bowl and the Egg Bowl alone, but Illinois, they're in a bowl game, and when they make it to a bowl game, they're going to be excited about it. And so, I'm excited about that one. I'm going to watch it.
I think it'll be a good game.
I've called Lauren and asked him to send me a shirt, because regardless of my feelings on Mike Leach, I didn't cheer for Mississippi State when he was the coach. So I thought
That's fair. Then shout out to Cheez-Its, because they have 2 bowl games that they're sponsoring.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl now.
Okay.
LSU, Purdue, SEC, Big Ten. Give me the SEC all the time. I couldn't care less about that.
LSU's not going to care about that game.
No, they're not.
No,
they're not. And Brian Kelly cannot win a bowl game. They got that smoke every time he was at Notre Dame. So. Yeah. And then 2 more. We'll wrap this up. Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. This game I'm intrigued by because USC got mollywopped by Utah after Caleb Williams just laid an egg in that game, and they're playing Tulane, and this is Tulane's moment in the sun. Much like Boise State, this is an opportunity for them to prove themselves against the blue blood that we've arrived. That coach has done a phenomenal job. His name's escaping me right now. Tulane coach
Willie Fritz.
Thank you, Willie Fritz, Coach Fritz. Phenomenal job at Tulane. Their defense is really good. I think that game is going to be a fun one to watch.
And look out for those. That group of 5 bowl game. It seems like they're always paired up against somebody who just missed out on the playoff.
Yeah,
and that's how UCF beat Auburn that time.
Yep.
One team is excited to be there, and one team is not. And it's
right.
That group of 5 team. Sometimes they just get out class with the caliber of player, but they want it more.
Yeah.
And they're excited about being there. It's the biggest game they will ever play in.
Right. This is the biggest game for Tulane since they played for an SEC championship in like 1949, and they will be the best dressed football team in all the bowl games.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
That's Saturday, Monday at 1, and then the Rose Bowl is Monday at 5. Utah, Penn State. Utah's a good football team, man. They're not the same team that lost to Florida. They're a good football team.
Yeah. I'm pulling for Utah. I don't pull for Penn State.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They're good, and they're good every year.
Yeah, they're just one of those teams.
They're like Iowa, except if Iowa was really, really good. Kyle Whittingham.
Whittingham.
Yeah, I mispronounced that. Kyle Whittingham has got to be the longest tenured coach in college football in the Power 5. One of them.
Yeah. And
he's stuck at Iowa, and they are never bad. In a lot of years, they are really, really good. It's just a matter of time. They seem like they're one loss away from the playoff every year.
Every year, yeah.
And it seems
they have a stupid loss that keeps them out.
And it seems like every year the Pac-12 champion always misses the playoff because they lose to Utah.
Yeah,
they lose one inexplicably, but then they beat everybody else.
It's usually Utah or Oregon State, and Oregon State is usually the inexplicable. Why are you losing to Oregon State?
Right.
Yep. But some good bowl games coming up. Real quick, did want to mention, I know you're not a huge college basketball guy, probably because y'all, lost to Tennessee tonight. But anyway, conference play has started.
We were leading at the half.
Yeah, but what about the end of the game?
That's a win.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You did hang with Tennessee. Was it? Yeah. Conference play.
One time, Ole Miss did not score for 4 minutes and was still only losing by 3.
Yeah, it's much better than Memphis Grizzlies, man. Woo.
Yeah.
But conference basketball started. Alabama and Mississippi State. We tip off in about 30 minutes. Or no, excuse me, an hour. It's 9:30 local, 8:30 central. Conference play is here. I'm excited. This one basketball season really picks up. You know, you've made it through non-conference. State finished 11-1, had a bad loss against, Drake, who's a decent team. They're usually like that 15, 16 seed, but, tough loss, but still.
AKA a bad team, a bad team in a worse conference.
There
That's
it is.
A seed for you.
But 11-1 in non-conference play. We'll find out tonight. It's a tough week this week because we got Alabama. I think we're at Alabama tonight, and then home for Tennessee this weekend, or the other way around. But it's a brutal week this week. We'll find out what we're made of for sure.
Yeah, you'll find out what you're made of. You had, like you said, Ole Miss had a cupcake first 7 games in the football season this year. That's what State's had, and they lost one of them. So
sure.
No one should be beating their chest, and everybody should just be paying attention to see how they stack up against Alabama, because they have played the schedule, and they have. Yeah, they are a true blue blood.
I mean, they beat some good basketball teams this year, and they almost beat UConn. They beat North Carolina. They beat Houston. They played some really good basketball. But tonight's games, man, we've got some great conference games. We got Kentucky, Missouri, Florida, and Auburn are tied at 34 right now. Let's see. Other SEC, nobody cares about these other ones. Just talking about SEC, Alabama, Mississippi State. Oh, it is 9:00. We do tip off in 30 minutes. Arkansas plays at LSU tonight. We're home against Alabama, so that does play in our favor. The only SEC game so far, Tennessee won 63-59 in Oxford. So good basketball starting. This is when the season really starts to pick up, and we get some good games. So,
and I promise I will pay attention.
I like it because this is when it starts to matter. And sidebar, the number 2 UConn Huskies are currently playing Villanova, and it's 58-53 UConn with 4 minutes to go. So that's a close game. Villanova 7-5, UConn's 13-0, and a really good basketball team.
Wow.
So this is when college basketball starts to matter. Yeah.
So, props. All right. Well, that's enough college football. Unless you want to just turn this to a live stream and watch the Rebs in 30 minutes.
Nah. All good. Let's talk about them.
I don't even want to do that.
Yeah.
So, the Grizzlies. So, for everybody, we invite you to check out our website for what has been a game-by-game recap by Buckets here. He's been really on the ball with getting content on the website. And so, the Grizzlies are on a tough stretch here. Since we last talked, we were really hyping up that Christmas Day matchup against Golden State, and it was everything we expected it to be in terms of intensity. It had that playoff atmosphere. The Warriors hit everything, and the Grizzlies hit nothing. And it's been the trend because the Grizzlies lost again last night to Phoenix, just got blown out at home against a Devin Booker-less Phoenix team.
They started two guys. They started 2 guys on 2-way contracts.
Yeah, Ja had 30 plus, and nobody else chipped in. I mean, it's
real quick.
Old team.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but that's good. I got a question for you. What do you think the Grizzlies' record is this year? There's been 12 times. Ja has 12 times gone 30 plus, 30 or more points. What do you think the Grizzlies' record is when Ja scores 30 or more in 12 games?
In 12 games? Well,
12
since you're
games.
asking me, I'm going to assume it's pretty bad. 6-6.
Close. We're 5-7, including losing the last 3 in a row. The last time we won and Ja scored 30, he had 33 against Detroit way back on December the 4th. We won the first 3 that he scored 34, 49, and 38, but we lost the last 3 in a row on this road trip and then at home last night when Ja scores 30 plus. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, and that's not indicative of anything, really, because Ja's incredible, and he's going to be incredible when we win. You know, I'm not going to get on this podcast and say he needs to be passing the ball,
No. Especially last night. Like, he was the only one. Him and Desmond Bane were the only 2 in double figures last night. And it was just more of a surprising stat. And you could see there was some visible frustration in Ja last night. He slammed the ball a little bit more. His facial expressions were not great. And he didn't even play the last 7 minutes. And he just sat on the bench and was very quiet. So his body language yesterday was very much one of frustration.
Well, and that was a game that was out of hand quick too.
Right.
And so it's a lot of that. Sometimes it's better to get beat bad and put it behind you quickly than it is to lose a heartbreaker and carry it along. Josh has been incredible. The supporting cast has been bad.
Yeah.
And just case in point, I don't know if you follow. It's called Shot Quality on Twitter. So Shot Quality basically takes all the shots and whether on average, if the percentage you make or miss, and then extrapolate that throughout the whole game on every shot, and it has a score. Now, it doesn't look to see whether you made it or missed it, but based on the quality of shot that you took, whether you should or should not have won that game.
Sure.
For the Christmas Day game against Golden State, it was a shot quality upset. So the final score was 123 to 109, Golden State over the Grizzlies. The shot quality score had it Grizzlies 121, Warriors 117, and the Grizzlies would win that game 58% of the time, which means we lost 12 points versus what we were expected, and Golden State was up 6. And that was obvious. If you watch that game, never do you get that bad a defense or bad of luck, I guess, on open threes. I mean, they couldn't hit anything, and they gave up everything. Jordan Poole was incredible until he inexplicably got thrown out, and the refs were just garbage.
Oh my gosh! At one point they called a very ticky foul. It was probably a foul technically by the rules when Ja grabbed James Wiseman's jersey.
It was Jaren.
Jaren grabbed James Wiseman's jersey, and then they put Klay Thompson on the free throw line. Even the announcers, Mark Jackson, was saying, "Why is Klay Thompson shooting these free throws?" The foul was on James Wiseman, and it's a difference in one of the league's the all-time great shooters in the league. Guy shoots, he's like a career above 90% free throw shooter versus James Wiseman, whose career is like 38. So, like, it's a massive difference.
And Jaren's got to do better. I'm a Jaren apologist. I think the Grizzlies are better when Jaren is on the court. I think if he did not take a shot offensively, they are better on the court with Jaren back there. But he got 5 fouls in that game. He played, I think by the end of the game, he ended up playing 20 minutes. But he played the whole fourth quarter on 5 fouls, and just basically limited his use there. And the thing is his fouls are garbage fouls. There's like the play you were talking about where Wiseman steps up to set the ball screen for Klay, and he just grabs his jersey while he's trailing him to set the screen. It's just stupid stuff, and it's plays where he gets beat, and instead of giving up the layup, he just hacks him after the shot. And in as vital as he is to our defense, one foul is worth a lot more than 2 points by the other team. He's got to be smarter.
Yeah, and I talked about that a bit in the blog. You know, Jaren is here. We're in year 4. This is when he should really start making a turn, right? He should start playing more mature basketball, not these little reaching fouls, going more straight up for the block shots, not leaning into it, hacking people on the arm, and we're not seeing that. You know, it was kind of a poor timing. It's on an article today. I meant to send it to you, but it was through ESPN, one of the ESPN writers talking about how Jaren has made the turn to the elite player he should be. And I thought, you know, that's a good thought. But have you watched the last game?
That's the thing.
No, hear me out. He is, but he still has these moments of just boneheaded immaturity grabbing James Wiseman's jersey. These little ticky fouls that could technically be fouls. He just keeps making poor decisions. And over the 1 year, like his first year, he was a great offensive player and he wasn't great on defense. The second year, he was a great 2-point scorer, great on defense. Third year, last year, in and out of his injury, but he was shooting the 3 ball really well and defending it at a high level. This year, he's not shooting super well. He's blocking every shot that comes up in the paint, but his out of the paint on ball defense has definitely declined a little bit this year.
Oh, see, I disagree with that. His defense has been incredible. Still, the problem is You're
In the
right.
paint. Yeah, it's been
You're right.
incredible in the paint.
Yeah, he started out his career offensively great, fouled too much on defense. The reason why I'm frustrated this year is because last year it seemed like he fixed it. Last year he only fouled out of I think 5 games, and he's only fouled out of 2 games this year, I believe. But it's the it's the details, it's the
Mhm.
little things, it's the fouling on shots that you're not really contesting. It's the emotional, it's the ticky tack things, it's the lazy
Mhm.
things, where instead of uh, moving your feet around that screen that James Wiseman is setting, you're going to grab his jersey instead.
Mhm.
And it's the things that he didn't do last year, and the things that it was noted by everybody because he was first team all defense in the NBA last year. And that's because he was staying out of foul trouble until the playoffs when Steven Adams was out and Minnesota barbecued him and he couldn't stay out of foul trouble playing the center position.
Mhm. So Jaren fouls per game. He's averaging in his first year, he averaged 5 fouls per game. His second season, it was 6 fouls per game. Dropped to 4.
He
Dropped,
averaged 6 fouls per game.
yes, according to
That's
StatMuse.
possible. Is
According
it?
to StatMuse.
Okay.
Um, and this year he's averaging right under 5 fouls per game. Like,
But the thing you've got to look at is it's not necessarily the number of fouls, it's when you're getting them. So he
agreed.
got
That's
got
what I'm trying to
two.
say. He's showing that
Yeah,
immaturity, that lack of
right,
growth that I'm
right.
hoping for.
It's awareness once you get your fouls. Uh, he sat out. He got 2 within the first 4 minutes of the first quarter. Sat out the whole rest of the first quarter, and then within seconds of the second quarter, he had another boneheaded foul,
And
and
here's the
he was
here's
out
here's
for
the
the
thing with
first half.
that. Some of that's on Coach Jenkins. DeMichael Cole this week from the Commercial Appeal was talking about that. Like, in order for Jaren to mature through some of this, Jaren has ownership responsibility he has to take. And then coach needs to leave him out there and let him learn how to play with high fouls. Like, clearly he's going to be a 3 to 4 five foul guy per night. He needs to learn how to play with those. And the only way you do that is by playing. Our defense, for my critiques of him, our defense is infinitely better when he's on the court. And the only way we're going to be able to figure out how to play with those high fouls is to play with high fouls. I get
Well,
you if he gets 3 in the first quarter, you pull him and let him play the second half. I get that. But at the same time, like, we need to learn how to play with higher fouls.
yeah, you're absolutely right. And I've been on this for a little while because what it is he played 20 minutes and he played 10 of those minutes with 5 fouls.
Right.
And so if he did not foul out of that game, but he took him out of the game because of fouls. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like you took him out of the game because of fouls, but at the end of the game when the clock hit 0, he still had a foul to give.
Mm-hmm.
So you took him out of the game unnecessarily
Right.
to protect him from fouling out in a game in which he did not foul out. So it is better to leave him out there and let the team be at their fullest potential as long as possible.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
even when he gets those 4th fouls, let him play because our defense is so much better and we need him. We needed him last night against Phoenix. We needed him against Golden State. When he's in foul trouble, he's sitting on the bench. It doesn't help. And like, I mean, he's a moderate to good 3-point shooter. We need him on the floor for those shots. We need him out there taking the shots because, Drew, in our last 4 games, we are 29 for 118 from behind the arc
Yeah,
for
it's
a
bad.
24%. I mean, it's bad, and we need him on the floor to help Desmond with that.
And that shooting is not indicative of what. That's not a sign. That's a slump.
Right.
Conchar's been terrible. Bain is coming off a foot injury, which you can't get up to. You can't keep your conditioning with a foot injury.
So I listened to an interesting little podcast today. He talked about that. The Locked On Grizzlies podcast with DeMichael Cole. Desmond Bain this year. Let's see. I'm pulling it up right now. StatMuse. His first 4 games, like he didn't score.
Terrible.
He didn't score above 15 points.
Right.
And then after that 4th, I think it was the 4th or the 5th game. Let's see. I got to pull it up right here. It was 1, 2, 3. The 5th game, he scored 32. And then his next game, 19, 28, 19, 29, 32. Like, he's really went off. And it wasn't until October that he really started taking off. And so he's clearly a guy that takes a little time to warm up. He's a rhythm running back, just like Mark Ingram was at Alabama. The more they gave him the ball, the better he played. And so he needs to shoot those shots to kind of get in a rhythm. It's going to come with time. We're going to get there. He just got to get back. But I tell you who we really miss is Zaire's minute. Zaire has not been playing good basketball recently. And I know he's come back from injury, but he has been bad.
I've been confused with kind of how they're playing him in the rotation, because they're playing him exclusively in bench minutes, and basically asking him to be the guy. And that's just not him yet, And so,
I agree. That's where he belongs. He belongs on the second unit. He comes in and he spells, Dylan for a little bit, gives him a little break. But we need to shoot. His offense last year helped us in a lot of spots. And he's that guy that's going to fill that, I know we've talked about him a little bit on here, and he's not played great last couple of games, but a DeAnthony Melton type that can come off the bench, that can get you some points, that can give you some solid perimeter play. And he's another guy that can clear the lane for Brandon Clark on that second unit, or when Ja's getting minutes with the second unit early in the second quarter. He's that guy that can come in and give some spacing, and we need him to be better. He is not, let's see, he scored 7, 3, 6, 2, 2, 11. And then in the last three games he's played were 7, 3, 6, and then 2 for the last 4, 2 points against Denver in 17 minutes. Just not good basketball.
Yeah, and I'm just not worried about the Grizzlies as a whole right now. We did this last year where you just kind of piecemealed basically a whole regular season together because you were missing everybody. Give them some time to get back, and then we'll evaluate the All-Star break. I just think they're going to be fine.
Here's my take on that. I agree. I think we have just as good as anybody of a shot to come out of the Western Conference this year and go play for an NBA title. I believe that in my soul. But we have a bigger spotlight on us this year for 2 reasons. One of them is a good reason, because we're a better basketball team. We're on that cusp, right? Golden State was talking about us at their championship parade. So clearly we're rent-free in that head of Draymond and Clay. They talked about the Memphis Grizzlies in their championship parade. So we're clearly there. Number 2, we talk so much on Twitter and in interviews. I love it. I'm here for it. I hope it continues. I don't want it to stop. I love it. But that puts a bigger spotlight. That puts a bigger target on you. And Dylan Brooks, shout out to DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal, reported that when he asked him in the locker room after the game, what happened? And Dylan's words were, we're talking a lot of trash. And when teams talk back, we're freezing right now. And that is that is a great self-reflection and 100% what's happening. Golden State showed up. They played great basketball. They talked a ton of noise. Clay did that little shimmy at midcourt over Dylan's fallen body. Draymond was looking at Dylan all night long. I hear Ja, I'm fine in the West. That's great, but let's play like it. Ja is, but we need that supporting cast.
Right. And nobody looked this up, but and nobody tweet this out, but Josh said that we're all right in the West, but we're 9-10 overall against teams in the Western Conference.
Right.
So I get what he's saying, and I like you. I love it. And you missed the most important reason why everybody's got us circled. It's because we were the 2 seed in the West last year. We're good.
We're good. That's what I'm saying.
Sure, we talk, but teams know that if they're going to play us, we're going to pack their lunch. And it's a good thing, but like Taylor Jenkins said, we got good at being the hunters, but we've got to get good at being the hunted.
Yeah, we got that target on our back. Golden State came into that game. It's like Nick Saban calls it, it's rat poison. We gave them a ton of rat poison, right? We had a ton of locker room material, a lot of tweets, a lot of talking. And again, I'm here for it. I want them to keep it up and do it more. But we have got to stop freezing when teams talk back. Drew, you and I both played sports growing up. People talk trash. That's part of it. And you have to be able to respond when people talk back. And then what happens is we get down by 19 to Phoenix last night and we can't overcome it. and then they're running their mouths, and we just lock up and don't play well.
Yeah, and that was, I don't know, I don't. That was the first game, and I know you've been a little bit more pessimistic than me. I think it's safe to say that was the first game that I would have called inexcusable. Um, we've lost some games that um, you were harder on them than I was. Like Golden State game, I wrote it off as we just got outshot, and we got outshot by a team who took some crazy shots, and we didn't hit them. If you've got the looks, you got to hit them, and I believe that the law of averages says that those shots will fall, and
Yeah.
so I'm just
I've been
that game last night was bad. That was the worst one I've seen.
I wouldn't say I've been pessimistic. I've been more critical for sure because we're a better basketball team than the
That's
way
fair.
we play.
Yeah.
We are a much better. Like I just see the potential there. Like we've got the talent to be the number one seed in the Western Conference, and I firmly believe that we still will be. We've got that talent, but what happens, Drew, is like when you got that talent, like you look at like you're going to have off nights, but like you look at Milwaukee, you look at Golden State, you look at the Bulls back in the 90s, like when these teams are making like these championship type seasons, night in and night out, you have an elite level effort. You may not win them all, but you're competitive and at least you look interested in all of them. And that's been my problem with them on this, when we're now one for our last five, like we just don't look interested. Like last night we jumped out to an 8-0 run and I'm like, yes, we figured it out. We're back home. We just had to come home. And then Phoenix went on like a 25-5 run
with nobody.
Don't look interested. And then with nobody, they were missing their top three scorers, Devin Book, his backup. And then I'm forgetting the other kid's name, but he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. Like they were missing their top three scorers, two of their top three scorers. And we just didn't care.
Yeah, that team's best player was Mikal Bridges or DeAndre Ayton. And a team with those being their best two players.
And Chris Paul was pouring in threes like it was 2014. And I can't. Chris Paul is one of the athletes I despise. We could do a whole podcast on reasons I don't like Chris Paul. But anyway, that was a bad loss. And I've just been critical because, like, in order to be a championship team, you at least need that championship effort most nights. And I would venture to say, since that Milwaukee game, we have not put in a championship effort.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll see what comes up going forward. I think the schedule gets harder.
It does. We've played our easiest schedule, though we do have an easier game. Toronto's lost 10 of their last 14. They're not a good basketball team, but we play at Toronto tomorrow night at 7:30. So we go north of the border for a tilt with Toronto in a game that we should win.
Been incredible this year.
Yeah, but that's it. Like they have nothing else.
All right, I feel like we're going to have to address it at some point. The League of Avengers.
Da, 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 da.
We're going to talk about our fantasy football league. We're 1 week into the championship game.
Yeah.
Rusty, you're down.
I am. Not out. It's close, man. Y'all wanted a close championship game, and I feel like Justin Lumpkin and I. Look what we got here. Let's go.
What's up, man?
What's up, man? What's going on, buddy?
Not too much. How y'all doing?
We're good, man. Look at our little guest here. Nice little surprise.
Look at that. I told Lump to get in here and tell you how trash you are and guarantee a win so that y'all can one of y'all can take home this bad boy.
Well, that's what I was wondering where I needed to come pick it up at.
Oh, yeah. There it is. You think you got it already, huh?
Yep. I got a spot right back here. I have a shelf right here. It's going to sit right up top.
I got a stool. I can set it right here, and it'll be in this view every week, man. It looks so good right here.
There you go.
Yeah. Lump, how you feel?
Man, I'm good. As far as the match, man, it's close. If I could have got a little bit more production out of Tyreek there at the end, could have pulled away. 9 points though. That's like another player. I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, my one of my top receivers, DeAndre Hopkins, got me 1.4. Like he laid an absolute egg, and it was expected with Trace McSorley as your quarterback, but needed a little more than that. And so definitely got a little hole to dig out of. Right now, you're projected to beat me by 20, but you never know what's going to happen.
Oh, that's true, man. I mean, anything can happen. It's always good to have an advantage, but you never know what's going to happen week to week.
Sure.
And somebody could drop a 0, somebody get hurt. It all comes down next week.
Oh, I can tell you right now, Lump. I can tell you one thing that's definitely going to happen.
What's that?
It is not happening that I'm sending this trophy to South Carolina. So,
You think so?
Or Rusty's going to have to come home to get the sucker.
Hey, Lo, I'm glad you're here because I do have a question. You know, our game is great. You know, I think we've got a really good championship game coming up. It's going to be fun to watch this week. You know, I think there's a lot of good football to be played. But I want to ask your opinion about something. You know, we've given him a hard time all year long because like he just didn't have a great team. He wasn't there on draft night. Jordan Woodruff, man, just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see what he did last week in the first round of the playoffs?
I did not.
Do you know why you didn't? Because nobody cares if you're not in the playoffs.
But what happened was Jordan Woodruff, who wasn't there on draft night, had his team picked for him by somebody who doesn't know anything about football, is adequately named the low-key losers, went 1-12 in the regular season, and beat our league commissioner in the first round of the playoffs, 202 to 163. Man,
first
off,
hold on. Yeah. Do not call this the first round of the playoffs. Okay, this is not playoffs. This is the worst of the worst. I'm not setting my lineup. I'm not wasting my time anymore on this team that sucks. I won't set my lineup. I'm not going to do it next week. And the season's over. If nobody gripes at the Texans this year for what happens in the first round of the playoffs when they miss it, okay? Nobody cares.
It's just interesting. I didn't know. I didn't know what happened there, Commish. You that sounds like an excuse to me, but shout out to Jordan Woodruff to play. At least he played all the way through, Commish. At least he played all the way through.
A loss is a loss. I mean, you got it. It happens.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Finished the season with a win, and my team went to Cozumel.
Took an early vacation, huh?
Yeah, no, we're not working out right now. The season is over. We're taking a break.
But yeah, Lump, you've got the best team on paper, man. You've got the second-ranked quarterback in Josh Allen, Tyreek at receiver, third-ranked running back in Josh Jacobs, man. Best team on paper. Tell us a little bit about your season, what you thought, how it went, any big moves you made. Tell us a little bit about it.
Really, I didn't expect it. We started off 1-2. You know, people weren't producing, and then we started coming alive week 4. We went on a 4-game winning streak, but Jamar Chase go out for a few weeks. You had Zeke. He missed a few weeks, wasn't producing at the beginning. He finally come alive. They started giving him the ball a little bit more, and compared to Tony Pollard.
If you've got one of them, you hate the other one.
Oh yeah.
Because Zach had Tony Pollard.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right. I made some good pickups as far as I can't remember if I drafted Tyler Lockett or not, but he filled in good for Jamar Chase whenever he went down. Let's see. Who else did I have? The last week made a good pickup. I don't know if you was going to look into getting him or not, but Evan Ingram to try to keep him from getting from me. Yeah. I made sure to put my bid right above your budget amount, so I made sure to get him.
That was a good pickup. I was going to bring that up, man. That's he got hot at the right time, and you picked him up, man. I wasn't looking at him. I was looking at trying to find a running back replacement for Jonathan Taylor, which I did not find. Jared McKinnon's been serviceable. I mean, a 30-point game that got me into the championship game, but Evan Ingram was a phenomenal pickup, particularly with the tight end really being top heavy position this year. Outside of like Kittle and Kelsey, there wasn't a ton of great ones, and so that was a solid pickup at the end of the year.
Yeah, I knew I had to find somebody because Foster Moreau, even though I had him, wasn't producing, and then Darren Waller was coming back, so I knew they just need to get rid of him. So and Ingram produced pretty good.
Yeah,
you could have given me 3 guesses, and I don't know that I could have told you who Foster Moreau played. And this is a tight end class that is just trash.
Yeah.
So, I know because I drafted the king of the trash pile, Kyle Pitts. Hey, Lump, since you're here and I'm seeing your setup now, I think me and Rusty's been going back and forth about how we need to improve our setup, and I think we just need to get you to come hang out with us tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, good grief.
Oh man, I got moved in this new house. I'm just trying to get everything set up. Still got to paint the walls a little bit, and then get a few more structures put up, like the shelves and stuff like that. But it's all about. I mean, I got a good camera, and then it's all about lighting. You know, if you can get to a good room, good lighting. I got a key light up here to the top right. But I mean, that's about it.
Drew needs all the lighting he can get, man, to help him out.
Yeah, I want to see you on that steering wheel.
Yeah, man. I'll be streaming on Twitch once I get back into it.
What's your game of choice?
Right now, I do iRacing and COD, Modern Warfare 2, Warzone, mainly, and then I play a little bit of everything.
What's your Twitch handle, man? Give it a shout out to our listeners out there.
Yeah, guys, go follow me on Twitch. I've been out of the game a little bit while I've been moving and everything, but JLump on Twitch, that's my handle. Just go give me a follow. It'd be much appreciated.
All right, we heard it here first.
We've got an international following, Lump. You might be an international Twitch streamer now.
There you go.
Our listeners in Belgium and the Netherlands, India, and Mexico City. Y'all go give him a follow and keep up with him on Twitch.
Hey, guys, any little bit helps, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, Lump, I'm cheering for you, brother.
I appreciate it.
I'm cheering for you.
Y'all both try to bring it home. Y'all both going to be sad when that trophy's right here in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina.
I'll have to look at it for a whole year.
I will be sad.
Go for it again.
There it is. Right.
Thanks, Lump.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, man. See ya.
See y'all.
Well done.
I tried to get him on last week. Yeah, he works night shift. Couldn't get in last week, so I'm glad Lump jumped in with us this time.
Yeah, good dude, man. Glad to get jump on, and I think it'll be a good championship game for y'all this weekend. And
he's just too nice. He's too nice. I'm pretty sure he told you good luck at one point.
Yeah, you wanted him to come in for the blood, but we're competitors, man. It's good. But hey, and shout out to you, man, because I've been in some leagues, and my family league is like this. We play all the way to the end of the year, and you get so many guys sit out that last week that it ends up being like, I mean, it's a good strategy week because you got to pick and play and place the guys in they're going to play. But I'm glad it ends this week while most of the stars are still playing to solidify playoff position. I think it'll be a good weekend for some fantasy football.
Yeah, I do too. I'm looking forward to it because what I wanted more than anything was for it to be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And being competitive going into the last week.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we're 7 points separated. I think he's projected to go for 246. I'm 226. You can't put a ton of stock in that because it's going to change throughout the day. But I anticipate this will be a pretty close matchup, an opportunity for some fireworks and exceptional fantasy football this weekend. So I'm just glad to be a part of it for sure. Not losing to the low key losers, acting like I don't care. But anyway,
I mean, you can't. Nobody cares what Vanderbilt's doing right now. Their season's over. I don't even know why the fantasy football league even has consolation brackets in here.
So that you can lose to the low-key losers. Your cousin will point it out to me. Shout out to Kurt, and we'll talk about it on the podcast.
You know what? That's another guy who's not in the playoffs. So with all the time on his hands, maybe he should be figuring out how to fix his fantasy football team while he's at it.
So speaking of fantasy football, real quick as we're starting to wrap up, like we play for the Stan League Cup, right? Like for the victors, they get the Stan League Cup. Have we thought about a punishment for the losers?
Talk for a second.
I've seen there's so many good ones that pop up online. I saw one of my favorites recently is you have to play a round of golf in a dress. Hilarious punishment. I've seen tattoos. It's a bit extreme, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. That the team, the rest of the league designs your tattoo, wouldn't be opposed to it. I think it adds another level of competitiveness, right? We've had our own commissioner tonight, ladies and gentlemen, admit that he does not care about fantasy football anymore.
Oh my God.
A loser punishment would prevent some of that.
I'm not the loser.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not saying you are, but you're in the consolation bracket and you lost to the 1-12 Houston Texans of our fantasy football league. Shout out to Jordan Woodruff. But
all right, let me tell you something. If we were to ever do a punishment league, it would not take into consideration at all the consolation bracket of the playoffs. Just like
It could.
The NFL draft does not award the first round pick to the first loser of the playoffs.
No, but it does improve your draft pick, though. It improves your draft stock if you lose early.
That's not what I said. So, anyways, I ordered the decals and stuff for the trophy for whoever wins. And I got to spin this little wheel on the website, and I got a free less than $25 loser gift. And this is what it is. It's a mirror that says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the biggest fantasy loser of them all?" So what I'm thinking now is that instead of this trophy, when you lose on Sunday, I'll send this to you in Burleson, South Carolina. It's pretty pink, and look, it's even got your face on it.
I think that should go to the person who finishes last in the league. That's where that should go. That's at least a start. But I think we should do like an off-season poll. Maybe we do it on here. We get the members on. We're interviewing one by one, get their take on it. But I think some kind of punishment would be good to go along with the Stanley Cup.
Okay. That was the punishment I had in mind, but it was free.
So. It reminds me, I went to trivia last week, and it was an ugly Christmas sweater party, and you've probably seen this before, but guy walks in with a mirror taped on his chest for the ugly Christmas sweater.
Yeah. My ugly Christmas sweater says it's got a Santa on it with a little elf beside it, and it says, "When I think about you, I touch my elf." It's Santa touching the elf. I've worn it for every year for like 5 years. It's extremely too small now, but I don't care.
That makes it even better.
So that's all I got, Buckets.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Drew, for being here tonight. Big shout out Justin Lumpkin, man. Thanks for being here tonight as well. It was a nice little surprise as we wrap up our Fantasy Football League. Again, guys, like, share, follow on all your favorite platforms. It's how we get word out. If you enjoy it, if you don't, doesn't matter. Uncle Buck and I are going to be here week in and week out, giving you our hilarious takes, outbursts, and see what happens. Uncle Buck,
you're right.
Thoughts?
You're right. I will give my hilarious takes and here.
Yeah.
So, just appreciate everybody for tuning in still. It looks like everything has worked out just fine. It is 8:01 and the Rebs start in just a few minutes. And so it's one of those things. It's bittersweet. I'm not super pumped, and I've not been super pumped about watching Ole Miss in the Texas Bowl. However, when I think about the fact that I will not be able to watch Ole Miss play football until Labor Day, I'm going to tune in. I'm going to watch every down of it. So go Rebs, beat Texas Tech, come back from Houston in one piece, and go get some more blue chips for me.
Give us your thoughts on the bowl game tomorrow on the blog, whatever happens. Even if it's short and sweet, give us your thoughts.
All right. You got it.
Again, $2 Sports Pod on Instagram, Twitter, WordPress. Look us up. Give us a follow. That's the number $2 Sports Pod. We appreciate you guys if you stuck around this long, and we'll see y'all next week.
See you guys.